I remember that the moment you said, guys, let's say a prayer, I knew it was me. I knew I was going to be the one to say the prayer in that moment. I remember we all knelt down, and honestly, I don't remember anything I said, because honestly, I think the words weren't mine most of the time. I remember thinking, I didn't open my eyes, but I remember thinking that if I did, I would not be surprised to see twice our number there.
Before we dive in, just a quick favor. If you're enjoying what we're doing at Angels Among Us, please take a second to rate and review the show. And if something in today's episode touches your heart, please share it with a friend. Welcome to Angels Among Us, the podcast where we share real stories of angelic encounters. Each episode you'll hear firsthand accounts of divine protection, guidance, and miraculous interventions that remind us we're never truly alone. Whether through a whisper of comfort, an unseen hand of protection, or an unmistakable presence, angels are closer than we think. Join us as we explore these powerful experiences of angels, both seen and unseen. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Angels Among Us. As you can see, we are not in my home recording, which is sad because we just finished the remodel of our room, our studio as we call it, because we are professionals at Angels Among Us. As you will see, these guys are going to completely behave themselves. And the three of us, are currently in Chalice, Idaho. We're getting ready to go on our yearly backpacking trip. And that's why we are here talking. We're going to be telling a story. We have quite a few stories that we could really tell. But there's one story in particular that was, we very strongly felt the heavenly protection, basically. And anyway, we'll get into it. You'll hear what we're talking about. But I'm joined here with my best friend Kyle. If you listen to episode number 1, he's the angel. Episode number 1. I'm joined next to him, my other best friend Jesse, aka my brother-in-law. Yep. Aka brother from another mother.
However you want to say it.
However you want to say it. And then on the screen above or below, whatever it uploads as, this is my real brother, Tyler. His last name is also Wyatt. And he lives now in Colorado. So all three of these guys were with me that day. And I'm going to give them a second, turn it over to each of them individually to kind of introduce themselves really quick.
As Brent said, I'm Kyle. I live in Idaho, so I don't have to travel very far for these backpacking trips, which is nice for me. I'm married to Miranda. She's the best person I know, and I have 3 beautiful girls and 1 little boy. Yeah, she's a lot better than Brent.
This is true.
I love Brent, but she's the best. Also, I am cousins with Brent and Tyler. Somewhere down the line, we're cousins. So
we found that out about 5 years after meeting.
Yeah, a while after meeting. So
yeah, we share. My 5th great grandpa is your 4th great grandpa.
I think so.
I think that's right.
Yeah, I think that's right. So that's it. That's enough about me. Jesse, take it away.
I'm Jesse, as Brent said, brother-in-law, best friend, bestest friend, better than Kyle. I drive and travel a lot further than Kyle does, so that kind of shows that
dedication.
He likes me more than Kyle. I live in Oklahoma with my kids, Grant and Emery, in Boston. And, yeah, love traveling up here and hanging out. This has a lot more mountains than Oklahoma, so it's good to get away from the flatland.
I was just going to say, are these mountains better than Oklahoma's? Listen, yes. For you that might be in Oklahoma, y'all don't have any mountains. Sorry. You have hills.
Yes.
Maybe.
Anyway. Okay, Tyler, go for it.
I'm Tyler Wyatt. I am Brent's youngest and favorite brother. I won't claim best friend title. I'll just claim best sibling title for this one. That'll work. Brent gave most of the introduction. I'm in Colorado with my family, my beautiful wife Becca, and my two beautiful daughters, Charlie and Hallie.
Okay, so as you can tell, this is going to be a pretty fun episode. This is something a little bit out of the norm that we do, but this is a story that is definitely worth telling, and I figured it's a perfect time to tell this story when we are about to embark on another incredible few days up in God's country. I guess technically it's all God's country, but
especially Idaho.
He spent a little bit more time on this stuff. So yeah, we will be in the White Cloud Mountains.
Can't tell you where. That's the rest. That's all they need to know. It's a secret.
You can look it up. It's incredible. But don't ever go there. Okay. Just kidding. But yeah, part of the reason why we love our trips is, one, because of the brotherhood. We get to spend some time without any kind of electronics, any interruptions of the real world. We get to be out and enjoy one another's company, talk a lot about a lot of different things. But I have never felt closer to my Father in heaven than I have when I'm up in the mountains. And it's just special, and it's something we look forward to every year. I am the one that usually does most of the planning and the research and figuring out where we're going to go. And a few years back, I had read up on this lake called Quiet Lake. Forget that name right after you heard it, please. Just kidding. But part of the reason why we love the White Cloud Mountains is because there's not a lot of people. It's not very popular. And part of the reason is because of how extreme the hiking is. It's pretty intense, rugged terrain that not a lot of people are attracted to. The beauty is immense. It's unlike anywhere else in the world, except for Chile, right?
Yeah, that's close. That's up there.
But there's not a ton of people, and that's why we go. We know that we're going to be able to fish these lakes without having interruptions or having to share it with other people.
And we catch a ton of fish.
We catch a lot of fish. But not that we don't like sharing with people, because we do, but not on this week. But this particular year, we had actually gone to Quiet Lake the year before, and we hike in, and it's relatively easy the first couple miles. And then I'm looking at the map where we're supposed to be going, and I'm looking up this peak, and it's called Patterson Peak. And I had read that this hike is very difficult, but I'm also at the bottom of this peak looking up, and I'm thinking we have to go up and over that. And it was, some of it we're climbing up hands and feet and using our hands, and it's pretty difficult. And then we actually got to the top, and we looked down, and we can see a few lakes and see Quiet Lake, where our final destination is. And this first year, we realized, I had read that you can't really hike back up and over the other side of Patterson coming back. And we learned why very quickly. It's because hiking down the other side is really loose shale rock, where you take a step and you sink in 6 to 8 inches every step. And hiking up that would take hours upon hours and just waste a ton of energy. So I knew that there was another way out. And as I'm hiking down, I'm looking for this place. And this was a few years back. Now we have everything downloaded, the trails downloaded, everything GPS. We're able to track everything. But back then it was just research, and I could track my dot, but I didn't have a lot of the places up in this particular area also isn't actually, there's no trails. It's basically you research and you figure out where you're supposed to go, and then you run into a trail. And then again, there's no trail, and then you run into a trail. And so a lot of it is just kind of being prepared and knowing your stuff. And I feel like I usually do a pretty good job of knowing this. But our first year out, we hike on our way out. We're hiking up where I think is the right spot. And we get up and to the top of this thing. It's pretty dangerous, sketchy hike. There's some like snow that was still there that we had to kind of traverse across. And if we were to fall back on some of this stuff, there's nothing that can stop you unless somebody else is below you and they stop you and then they start going down.
They're not going to stop. You're going down together.
It's pretty, you have to be sure of every step in certain spots. And we know that it's dangerous, but it's, a lot of times, well, it's always worth it because we come back. But we get up to the top of this ridge and I'm looking around and there's no trail. And so I go to where we thought the trail was. And so in my head, I'm thinking we went out the wrong spot. Okay. So this was that year. And then we go down a pretty dangerous, sketchy way out and we get to the bottom and we were super thankful that we made it out and we were safe. Kyle wasn't there that first year.
Some random guy joined you.
We picked up some guy.
There was some guy that joined us. His name was Jeff from Colorado. Jeff, if you're listening to this, you're probably laughing right now. But I'm thankful you didn't have to hike out by yourself.
Yeah.
And we were able to be there with you, even though we probably put you in more danger than you
Probably thought we were all crazy.
So that was the first year, and we get back, and our experience on Quiet Lake was incredible. The fish we caught, the size of fish, it was just amazing. There's up in the White Clouds, there's like 112 different lakes. We've fished probably 50 of them. But Quiet Lake was the biggest, consistently the biggest fish that we'd ever caught. And we get the whole time after we go up and over Patterson, we're thinking we're never going to do this again. My dad was with us. Was pushing 60 at the time. And, we literally get down and in the truck and we're on the road for a mile. And my dad says, I could do that again. And I look at him, I was like, you're right. Let's do it next year. So the plan was to do it next year. In my head, the whole time I'm mapping out, where is that other trail? Where did we go wrong? And so we hike in the next year. There's a few more people with us. Kyle came, Tyler and one of his good friends was there with us. I think there was a total of 7 of us.
Luke was there.
Uh-huh. Another best friend of ours. And in these trips, when I'm doing the planning and everything, I feel a little bit of weight on my shoulders. It's almost like I'm, not in charge. I'm not the boss, but everybody does what I say anyway. But,
Yep.
But it's just, I guess like I'm the quote unquote leader, right? Mm-hmm. And I do the planning and I just feel like I'm in charge of everybody's safety. And so this whole time I'm planning on how are we going to get out of here? We're hiking down on the other side of Patterson this second year. And, I'm looking, I'm scanning everywhere where we're going to try to hike out. We get to Quiet Lake. Everything's awesome. Few days there, incredible. And we're all kind of talking amongst each other, trying to see where it is that we hike out, because in our mind, we took the wrong way out the previous year. Little teaser, it wasn't the wrong way out. That first year was the right way out. So my research was correct. It's just when we got to the top, we were supposed to go to the right. And then had we gone to the right just 50 feet, we would have seen that other trail going down. And that's safety, right? A lot of times trail, it leads to somewhere. That's safety. But this second year, right, we didn't know this yet. And I'm looking at the map. I'm trying to figure everything out. And we pick this ridge. We think, okay, that has to be it. Because also throughout that time, we had seen other people come and hike. They had gone not up and over Patterson because a lot of people just bypass that. They go the long way around. But they come up and over the way that we are planning to go out, right?
But it's also, let me interject. It's important to note, like on these, where we think this ridge is, it's not just like one ridge here and then there's another one over there. It's like ridge, valley, ridge, valley, ridge, valley, ridge, valley. Like there's a big number of them to where it's like, it sounds like, oh, it should be easy to pick this ridge out and go where it is. But there's so many of them that look pretty similar that it's pretty easy to pick the wrong one. It's pretty easy to get confused because it's not just like one ridge by itself. There's literally ridges every 50 yards. So there's a lot of ways that you could go and think you were going the right way.
And there's no trail. There's no visible trail
Yeah.
at all. It's literally, now that we have GPS, we can see exactly where we are. And anyway, and there was a lady that comes down with a little dog. And I was like, there's no way she came down where we went up last year with that dog. No way. In my head, right? And we were all kind of thinking this. And so we pick out this other ridge. We're like, it has to be that one. And visibly, when you look at something, it's very different than when you're on the something.
Halfway up it.
So we go out and we all decide, okay, that's where we're going to go. It's got to be that. We're going to go up and over that. And we start going, and pretty quick up this trail. I mean, this ridge, not this trail. There's no trail.
Shoot.
Yeah, shoot is a good word.
Pretty quick up, we are having to use our hands and feet again. Hands to help climb. It's like rock climbing. And mind you, we have 45, 50-pound packs on our back. And so we're a quarter way up this thing. And in my head, I didn't tell anybody this. In my head, I'm thinking, this is not right. This can't be right. But you look down where you just came from, and it's like, and you look up and it's like, well, it's easier to just keep going than it's going to be to try to get down what we just climbed. Mm-hmm. And so it's the same thing that whole way up, and we're communicating with each other, and it's going up this thing. It's dangerous. I was nervous for everybody, but again, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, if we get to the top, even if this isn't the right one, we should be able to see the trail and get to it. And we were sadly mistaken. We climb up this thing. It probably took us an hour and a half to climb up this.
It was steep.
It's very steep, probably close to a mile long. It was intense. And we get up to the top of this thing. I think Kyle was the first one up. I was right behind him.
It was me and Luke.
I was right behind them then. But we get up and we can quickly see that we are in a world of hurt, a world of trouble. And I get up there, and again, I have the weight of, this is my fault. That's what I'm thinking. And I'm literally thinking there is no way down from where we are. I start getting choked up, emotional. And at that moment, what were your guys' thoughts?
I remember getting to the top. Me and Luke get to the top, and we look right, look left, don't see anything. We look to the left, and we can see the trail, but it's like 4 or 5 peaks away. Yeah. That's like, it's not possible to just, it's called the Sawtooth Mountains because it's very jagged, like rugged country. It's not possible to just like walk over there. This is like, on the way down, this is getting ahead, but we saw mountain goats just chilling and running up. So if you're where the mountain goats are, it's not like, you're not supposed to be there.
With
but
we can
see like 5 peaks away, and to like, I don't know, a different point of view than Brent's is that in my mind, personally, I love when Brent does all the research and gets it ready and tells us where we're going, and I can just go. That's great with me. And in no way, like, do I ever put the responsibility of my safety on him. I'm an adult, and I like to go backpacking and do these things. So I didn't think like, oh, freaking Brent, that idiot dude, like we're wrong. This is his fault. That never crossed my mind. What crossed my mind was, I'm not supposed to swear on here, so I won't. But what crossed my mind was, oh crap, like we're not even close. And I'm not going back down what we just came up because we're going to have to climb down. Either way, we're going to have to climb down. So we might as well go forward. But how? The question was, how are we going to make it?
Yeah, for me, going up there, kind of what Kyle said, I never added any pressure on Brent or badmouthed him when he made a bad decision or anything like that. But I think that when I got up there, I felt that you were concerned for the way down. But for me, it was kind of like, well, we have to find a way down regardless. And like what you said earlier, being up there, it's a pretty spiritual place. And so, I don't know, I never felt worried. Like, I was concerned that someone could get hurt, but I always felt pretty comfortable if we just made sure we had good footing and talked it out and worked together, we could get down safely. I will say on the way up, I mentioned this earlier, I was pretty close to dropping my pack because there was a spot where I was by myself and you shouldn't be by yourself. And it was really steep. And I'm like, I'm essentially climbing with a backpack on. And I was like, it is not worth climbing. So, but I ended up keeping the pack. So
Your life was more important. The pack is what.
Well, it weighed me down to the mountain, so I wouldn't be so loose. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Tyler, what were your thoughts in that moment?
Yeah, I think I must have come up a little bit later. I think I stayed kind of back with Dad. I say that as if I did that to protect Dad. It was definitely just me being a lot slower than you other guys. But I don't remember. I remember feeling, I think I was a little bit angry because we had done Quiet Lake the year before, and I'm pretty sure I wasn't like Dad, and I didn't say right when we got on, hey, I could do that again. I basically said, if we're going there, I'm never going again. And then when this kind of happened again, I was, and again, to echo what Jesse and Kyle said, it wasn't that I was putting it on Brent. I never felt like he was responsible for it. I mean, it's just what happened. I wouldn't have done it any better if I had been in charge of planning the thing. And so I do remember being a little bit upset, but I think by the time I got up there, I think there was a plan. And so I had confidence in you guys and what you guys had decided of here's where we're going next. I don't think I saw, Kyle and Luke were up there before Brent, so they saw his initial reaction to being up there. I didn't see that. I definitely saw a more collected, calm and ready to go leader like I was used to seeing my older brother be, right? So I think I was spared that fear of seeing you not know what to do next.
Yeah, well, I still feel the weight of everything.
Absolutely.
And the thought of going home and getting down that mountain and having to make a phone call to a wife or a mom or something and telling them that there's something serious happened or even a death, which is possible. Those are the things that cross my mind. And I know in those moments that I can't focus on that kind of stuff, right? I let it get into my mind every once in a while, but then quickly, like you said, and like these guys helped me do, we came up with a plan. We scoped it out and we were looking, and there wasn't any good plan in front of us. It was
What's the best?
Maybe
best plan
what's our best option.
Yeah.
And we're looking down these very steep rocks, and we get together and we go over everything, and we're making sure everybody knows how important it is to make sure that you are sure of every single step going down this cliff. And there's parts of it where we have to go down backwards, where we're facing the mountain and we're climbing down backwards. And we said a prayer up there before, asking for protection and help to get down to safety. And in those moments, I know that there has been plenty of times, plenty of instances for people where they pray for protection and safety and something tragic still happens. I know that's a very real circumstance for people. But in that moment, when for me personally, I have enough faith and strength to know that my Father in heaven knows what's best. I know that he wants to protect me and help me no matter what situation I'm in. But I know, especially being a father myself now, that I know that he wants me to ask for his help, even though he knows that I need it. He needs me to know that I need it. And that's when I ask for help in those moments, I quite often feel peace and comfort. That doesn't mean that the fear is completely gone. And it wasn't in that moment. I was still scared. But it's important in those moments to make sure that we don't forget that fear. Because when I have that fear in me, I'm more careful. I'm more aware of my next step. I'm more methodical with what I'm doing and what I'm planning and what I'm saying to other people, reassuring all the time and letting everybody know, trying to fill them with confidence, right? Because that fear can overtake and become in the front of our mind. And if we let that happen, then we're not going to be able to take that next step. And so it's important to, in those moments, we can't forget the fear. We have to use it. And there were times we take a step and a rock goes rolling down, a large rock. And we ended up splitting up kind of. There was this big one ravine here and then one over here. I think half of us went one way and half of us went the other.
Me, Luke, and Josh kind of broke off to the left, and there was like a natural kind of line that kind of followed the cliff face down, and you guys stayed in that chute. And as you were going, I remember you like sending rocks. Like you were sliding and big rocks were coming flying by. And I remember at one point we had to cross the chute that you guys were going down because it was more of a direct line and we were kind of coming down at an angle. And so we yelled at you to pause, and then Luke crossed, and then we yelled at you, and then I crossed, and then we yelled at you. And by this point, me and Luke had kind of kept going, and we were over, and we couldn't see Josh. So we told Josh to go, and then we know Josh is in the ravine, and then we hear rocks crashing, and me and Luke, we kind of look at each other and like we start freaking out. I'm like, and we're yelling at Josh. We're like, Josh, screaming, Josh, nothing. We hear nothing. And me and Luke are like, oh my gosh, like he just got hit by a rock. He's falling down the mountain. We got to go find him. We're getting ready to drop our packs. And then Josh's head pokes up and he's like, oh, are you guys yelling at me? And we're like, dude, what are you doing? We thought you were dead. He's like, oh yeah, sorry, I couldn't hear you. I'm good. But it was like, just to paint a picture of like, I've done a lot of outdoor things in my life. I've floated rivers a trillion times. I've sunk a boat once, but I've done a lot of these things, and I've never been more nervous for my life than I was in this moment. Like, especially in those times when you're going down backwards, you have to, like, this mountain is all falling apart all the time. So you're grabbing on and you're like, I hope this piece I'm grabbing doesn't break loose, or like I have a pack on my back, and if I fall, there's no stopping me. Yeah. So it was a time in my life that I was actually afraid that if we did something wrong, it could have been serious.
Yeah, there's never been a time in my life where there was multiple different moments where I or somebody I was with was seconds away from tragedy for an
All of us.
extended period of time.
For
Getting
How
down
long
this
did it take you to get down that?
at least an hour.
at least an
Over an
hour.
hour, for
Yeah,
sure.
at least an hour.
And
Hour
to
and a half.
be on that, like on the edge, right? Because there's no trail. This is loose. Yeah. That fear was ever present, I think, throughout the whole way down. But
Yeah, and it's in those moments I didn't see anything, I didn't hear anything, but I felt protected. I felt sometimes where you take a step and you think it's a loose one and it's sturdy, like somebody's holding that rock for you. That's what it felt like multiple times. And it's the whole time down, you're also in constant prayer, constantly asking for help. And I felt like we were being helped. And nobody died. Nobody got seriously hurt. And we get down to a patch of grass where our footing was sure. And we were all, there wasn't a lot of words. There was tears. And we all just knew what we had just been through. And we knelt down and I asked my little brother to say a prayer for us. And if you know Tyler and if you've ever heard him pray, it's a pretty incredible moment. And this moment didn't disappoint at all. Tyler, do you remember anything specifically that you said in the prayer?
I remember that the moment you said, "Guys, let's say a prayer," I knew it was me. I knew I was going to be the one to say the prayer in that moment. I remember we all knelt down, and honestly, I don't remember anything I said, because honestly, I think the words weren't mine most of the time. I remember thinking I didn't open my eyes, but I remember thinking that if I did, I would not be surprised to see twice our number there. I again, I don't know what I said, but I remember feeling so much peace. I mean, when we were done, again, like I said, knowing that I don't think those were my words when I spoke them. I remember feeling that God was so present during the prayer throughout the whole thing. To kind of back up a little bit, like you guys were saying, Brent, I think in one of your earlier episodes, you guys made the point that a lot of people say that fear and faith are opposites and they can't really coexist. And I think every one of us was feeling a whole lot of both in this scenario. And it's weird to feel like God is very present right now. At the same time, one of us could die right now. This could be our last day. And that's a difficult feeling. But I do remember when we got down, just so much gratitude and needing to express that gratitude on our knees, humbly in prayer to our Father in heaven.
I do remember one thing that you mentioned in that prayer, and I won't be able to say it nearly as eloquently as you did, but you thanked our Father in heaven for, in a roundabout way, you thanked him for the difficulties in our life so that we can better appreciate the good things in our life. You said something to that effect. And it hit me. I had heard that multiple times in my life, right? Sayings like that. But in that moment, I really felt that and experienced that I am so grateful for my life. I am so grateful for having just experienced what I did with my brothers and being able to come out of it and have a story to tell, to be able to give praise to my Father in heaven, to recognize the protection that he blessed us with. And like I said, there are moments where tragedy still happens, in those moments where we ask for help and protection. But that doesn't mean that he loves us any more than he loves other individuals. It's, I don't know. I'm just,
Gotta talk about that.
I was so thankful. Yes, please.
I had obviously similar experience. I was there, but I also had it's going to be hard for me to get through this, but first, I think as we were going, like obviously there was fear there, but as we went, there started to be, I think the faith kind of overtook the fear as we saw progress and as we were going. We could tell like we're making it. You know, it's slow. We're going. We're being careful, but we're gonna make it. Is the feeling I kept having. And a couple of things that I wanted to share was, I don't remember what time of day it was. I think it was like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning because we packed up early and left. But I remember when we got home, and this is all after the fact, that my dad said he knew we were in the mountains. He knew we were coming home. And at that time, whatever he was doing, I don't even know what he was doing, but he had the distinct impression that he needed to stop and he needed to pray for us. And he did. He stopped and he said a prayer. And I know that that's not coincidence. But the thing that was different for me in all of this is that at some point I'll be on this podcast to tell my story. But in my personal life, at this time in my life, I was not in a place that I had the Spirit with me at all. I was pretty distant. I'd made a lot of poor choices in my life and was still in the middle of those poor choices. And none of these guys knew that. That was just things that I was hiding, but I was not in a place that I could have the Spirit with me at that time. But I will never, I know without a doubt that the Spirit was there when we knelt down and we said that prayer. Like Tyler just said, that there was probably twice as many people there as was in our group. I know that for a fact. And I know that God was trying to tell me that he still cared about me, and that he loved me, and that he was aware of me, where I was at that time. So, sorry, it's hard for me to to say that without crying, but I know that he was testifying to me at a time when I didn't have the Spirit in my life, that he was still there, that he was waiting for me to come back to him.
Thank you for sharing that. You're a much better crier than I am. I can't talk when I'm crying.
Oh, but people might not be able to understand any of that.
No, that was, if they have eyes to hear and eyes to see and ears to hear, they will know exactly what you were saying. Do either of you have anything else you'd like to share, Tyler or Jesse?
Kind of just echoing what you and Tyler said just after the prayer was over. Just an incredible feeling of gratitude. I just, working through going down was way worse than going up for me personally. And just to have that outcome after praying on top and just trying to be as sure-footed as possible despite all of the fear, and making it through that, getting to the flat ground, and then ending it with an amazing prayer. I was just so thankful for my Heavenly Father and the people that I was with in that time, because never once, I think, were any of us ever negative toward any of the others in that whole time. We supported each other throughout that whole thing, and then just to end it all with safety and unity. I was just so grateful. Like, yeah, very thankful.
Tyler?
No, I think it's all been said. Just the feeling of the presence of God and his angels in that moment was something I've carried with me for my life since then. And it's something I'm absolutely grateful for, that he, as Brent has said, to some in their lives it might not look like he shows up all the time, but he does show up. And that day we were able to see it and feel it, and we were blessed immensely for him and his angels being there with us.
Yeah. There's been lots of times in my life, again, where I have felt the presence of angels, but that specific moment is at the very front, and I will never forget that. And I'm so grateful for everybody that was in that prayer circle with us, and like Jesse said, the unity that we felt with each other. And I'm grateful that we're all here to be able to talk about it.
And to go back
up
and take 4 times more after that. So that's great.
We know where the trail is now.
Yeah, we have found the trail down after that experience.
Hey, if any of you want to come with us, let me know.
Kind of slow learners, but we found it.
3 years.
So I hope that everyone has enjoyed this little different special episode that we have been able to do. As you all know, we end each episode with a truth, with the opportunity for our guests to share something that they know to be true. And I'll give you guys a little bit of time to think, and I'll share my truth. For me, in life, I've always been attracted to hard things. Baseball, I played baseball my entire life. I don't care what you say, hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in any sport. And I loved it. I loved that challenge, that grind of wanting to get better. I love backpacking. And I pick one of the hardest places in the country to backpack. It has to be. I don't love the hiking part of it, but I have learned throughout my life that if I'm sitting there hiking and I'm looking down at the trail the entire time, it's miserable. But if I take the time and I know that it's hard and I'm excited to take that next step because I know where it's going to get me, because everywhere in nature is beautiful. But if I can pick my head up and look at the beauty around me, the things around me, I forget about the hard. And that is how life is. I've said it many times on here, but the grind of life, the day-to-day, the 9-to-5 job, the grieving of lost ones, the every other difficult thing that we go through, it's really hard. And it's easy to look around and think, this sucks. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. But this is miserable. God, where are you? It's so easy to get caught in that trap. But I know that if we look around and we can see the friends, the family, the angels, even though we don't always see them, if we can recognize that they're there and recognize the beauty that we have in our life because we've been through the difficult, it makes that next step so much easier and so much better and so much worth it. And I promise you, where we are all trying to get to is going to be worth every single miserable step that we have to take. And I know that to be true.
My truth, sitting here thinking, is my favorite picture of the Savior is the picture of him when he's standing on top of the water and he's reaching down to grab us. And I think the thing that I keep thinking about, and I kind of talked about when I was crying, is that he knows us individually and he's reaching down for us always, whether that's an honest mistake when we take the wrong ridge and we need help getting down the backside of this cliff, that he's reaching there. He's there. He's waiting for us to pray to him, to talk to him, to look to him. He's there to help us in those moments. And he's especially there to help us in the moments, like I alluded to earlier, when we're not where we want to be, where we've made poor decisions, that he's reaching and he's waiting for us to grab onto him. And when we grab onto him, we're immediately rescued. That he's aware of us as individuals. He took the time, God took the time that day in that moment to testify to all of us that he cared about us, that he was aware of what we were doing, and that he knows us. And I think that when you know that, and you know that God knows you individually, nothing else matters. It doesn't matter if something difficult comes along or whatever the situation is. I know for sure that God loves me and each of us, and that is more than enough. So that's mine.
For me, I think my truth, just thinking about the hiking, but also thinking about life. I think that if I know that the power of prayer is there. Like, I just know there's power behind prayer, and that when we act and ask for help with real intent, and we act behind that real intent, like I feel his presence a lot stronger than if I were to just ask for help and then be complacent with the next actions, right? Going down the mountain as an example, we say our prayer and then we just say, oh, we're protected. We can just go down however we want. I don't think that's being very intentful. So I think something that I know to be true is that God likes when we have, that we're intentful in what we do for him.
Tyler?
What I know to be true, this is a truth that I learned in the White Cloud Mountains, and it is that God loves us more than we can possibly imagine. In order for this earth to achieve its purpose, for God to fulfill his purpose, we need to come here, we need to get a body, be tested, and he provides us with salvation through Jesus Christ. In order for that to work, we don't need mountains. We don't need alpine lakes. We don't need waterfalls. We don't need lightning and thunder and rainbows. We don't need any of that. But he gave it to us anyway. He painted us the most gorgeous, diverse earth that, I mean, we can't put paint to paper and make anything close to what he has done. And it is because he loves us. And backpacking has taught me that. And that is my truth that I know to be true.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you all for being here and for sharing and testifying. And we hope that you listeners, viewers, have enjoyed this episode. And please give us some feedback. Let us know what you enjoy that we're doing, maybe what you don't like. If there's things that you don't like, just don't say it publicly. Just maybe write me a private message or something.
Bring.
I don't like criticism. So just kidding. No, I love some constructive criticism. So I am so grateful for all of our supporters. And I hope that you were able to learn from these amazing men of God. And we'll see y'all next week.
Thanks for joining us on Angels Among Us. You can find us on YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow along for more stories of everyday miracles and reminders that angels are among us. If you have a story to share, please email or DM us with a brief summary. We'd love to hear from you. And remember, when we are waiting, God is working.